How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you a review and a little bit of a recap of The Suicide Squad. Technically, it is the sequel from Suicide Squad. This movie is directed and I believe written by James Gunn, the guy that brought you Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as the movie called Super, which has Dwight from The Office in it. He also gave you that evil Superman movie about that little kid that's literally evil Superman. He was picked up for this movie. He's picked up from DC, actually. DC Warner Brothers, when Marvel Disney had fired him because of some dumb stuff. And yes, I will say it's dumb stuff to look at someone's past and bring it up, even though they apologize for it. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. And now he is actually, I think he's the first director to actually do both movies. Although, he is not the first actor to be in both a Marvel and DC movie. That honor goes to, I won't spoil it, but the person's actually in this movie. So, before anything, please remember to give me a like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate it. Trying to get these videos out there and trying to, boost up some stuff. So, I really want to try to give you a quick recap. I'm gonna try to do it under 15 minutes. This movie is actually good enough that I do think you should watch it. And I do have some, in addition to the notes that I took while watching the movie, I do have notes here on some, the good, the bad, my take on things. So, this movie starts off, literally, and spoilers, by the way, literally the movie starts off, we're to believe that Savant, played by Michael Rooker, who was Yondu, he worked with James Gunn before, we believe that him, Weasel, Mongrel, who else is in this? Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, who, when asked how did she get back, apparently she did road rage or something. That's a thing. I'm going to put this in now because I'm going to forget later. I hope for the next movie, spoiler, Harley doesn't die, but if Harley Quinn comes back, it can't be that she got arrested again. Yes, that's very comics accurate and everything, but can we not do that? And let me just, next SS movie, boom. Who else was on this team? There was TDK, the detachable kid, played by Nathan Fillion. Did not think I would see Nathan Fillion. I didn't recognize him until I looked at the credits. I think Nathan Fillion might have actually been in Iron Fist, but still doesn't count because Disney doesn't count that as one of their things. There was also Blackguard, played by, oh god, I keep forgetting this guy's name. He's a king of Staten Island. He's also on Saturday Night Live. There we go, Pete Davidson. I don't know why I want to call him Dave Davidson. Pete Davidson. As well as Anne Javelin, who has an accent and throws a literal javelin. So, this group, they stormed the beach, and apparently Blackguard had tipped these guys off. It's kind of weird. By the way, our first death is Weasel. Weasel could not swim, and Weasel drowned. One of the funniest parts is in the bit. Well, not funniest part. One of the most poetic parts in the beginning. Savant kills a random bird that's, he's bouncing the ball in the cell. Kills the bird just because. As soon as Blackguard gets his face blown off, all hell breaks loose. One of the things that bothered me, Mongrel, she took over the helicopter, killed a lot of those people. Also got Captain Boomerang killed. Yeah, that's right. Captain Boomerang, guy from the last movie, he's dead in this one. Harley and Flag make it out alive. Harley gets javelin. He gave it to her for whatever reason. And, yeah, things don't look good. As Michael Rooker's Savant is he's freaking out. He's just going to try to swim back to where Amanda Waller blows his head up. Just, she tells him to go back, blows his head up. One of the funniest scenes in here was that the group, the people that work behind the scenes with Waller, they have a dead pool. They're taking bets on who dies first and things of that nature. They're desensitized to it. And meanwhile, that was just a diversion. Excuse me. The real team, the other Task Force X, because they're not called the Suicide Squad, they're Task Force X. It is Idris Elba playing Bloodsport. He was not going to join Task Force X, and he had to be coerced because his daughter, she's gonna, she stole he called it a TV watch. It's one of the watches. He has a very antagonistic relationship with her. They exchange a lot of fuck yous, and pardon my language, but I think this movie's rated R. It's definitely rated R, so buckle in. More or less, he had told her, he said, stay away from me. As soon as he got in there, he said, stay away from me and people that are like me and live your life. She didn't do that. Waller's trying to leverage her going to jail with him joining the team, and he was all for her joining Juvie, but no, Amanda Waller made it very clear that she would somehow get her to Bellevue, the prison that runs Task Force X with Argus, and more or less threatened her life, which even her team, the one guy, the white guy, he even said, you wouldn't do that, right? And she's like, of course she would. It's Amanda Waller. She is stone cold bitch. Wonderfully played by Viola Davis. I can't think of anybody else who would have played that role. So, of course, that's how they get him on the team. And, of course, they bring out Polka-Dot Man, who we get a nice cameo from the director, James Gunn himself. He dressed up. Wait, that's not James Gunn. Sorry, that's his brother. His brother plays two roles. His brother plays Weasel, but his brother plays this bald-headed criminal that talks about Polka-Dot Man. In addition to Polka-Dot Man, we get Ratcatcher 2. She is the daughter of the original Ratcatcher, which I'm just going to spoil it now in flashbacks, played by Taika Waititi. So he has played not only Korg, he has played Ratcatcher. So he is both in DCEU and the MCU, hilariously. Ratcatcher 2, we have Polka-Dot Man, we have Bloodsport himself, and then we have John Cena, who is playing Peacemaker. And Peacemaker is literally just a white version of himself. And even Bloodsport says that. He's like, wait, both of their fathers had trained them. Both of their fathers were killers and trained them from birth to also be killers. I think the only distinct difference is Bloodsport literally says, you enjoyed the killing. He uses justice as an excuse to do his killings. But Bloodsport is like, I already know I'm a piece of shit, but you do it because you like it. And we get one of my favorite characters from the comics, King Shark. King Shark is originally, one of his forms is actually a hammerhead, but James Gunn spoke on this. They couldn't get the hammerhead design to work because you need to always have his face there. And if you know shark anatomy, they have eyes on either side of their head. So just getting the CGI for him. He's also played by Sylvester Stallone. King Shark is also a big dummy in this, which is funny. He's literally their Hulk. He is the muscle. So King Shark, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, and Polka-Dot Man, they're on the other side. He sees all the explosions. And Bloodsport, one of the coolest things about him, his gadgets. He just pulls a thing off, and he has a weird-looking gun. He pulls another thing, he has a sword. He has a miniature crossbow right there on his arm. He's pretty cool. I'm glad they went with him instead of recasting Deadshot, played by Will Smith. So, they're coming up on the beach. Rick Flag has been captured, and Harley Quinn has also been captured. Everyone else is dead. And while our group is moving through the forest, they realize they're going to have to set up camp and go to sleep. Some hilarity ensues, which involves Polka-Dot Man having to release his polka dots, which we find out later on he was experimented on by his mother, as were his other brothers and sisters. Some of them lived, some of them died, but he has an interdimensional virus inside of him, and if he doesn't release the polka dots at least twice a day, it's going to kill him. We get a really funny moment where King Shark is about to eat Ratcatcher 2. Her whole deal is being in a deep sleep, like her needing to sleep. And through her making friends with King Shark and telling that the rest of them are friends, he's not going to try to eat them. Apparently King Shark is bulletproof. I don't know how true that is. I know he's a villain of The Flash and of Batman, so I don't know who brought him into the prison, but you give him kudos. Funny enough, the reason why Bloodsport is in prison is because he shot a kryptonite bullet in the Superman. A lot of people wanted to see this scene. I'm going to be completely honest. Let's break down logistics here. Instead of just taking 30 seconds to explain why he's in there, which is less than 30 seconds, like 10 seconds to explain why he's in there, you want them to spend money to film that whole scene, which they did in the last Suicide Squad with how other people got put in jail. That's a waste of time. 2, waste of money. 3, they don't even know if they even want Henry Cavill back as Superman. So who's going to be Superman? And you know everyone's going to be complaining about just seeing the back of the head that looks like him. This was fine. So they're making their way. They're going to Court, I want to say, Colto Morto. It's an island nation. The island nation was ruled by one family. A coup happened. They all hung. The new people in charge, they're going to use this thing called Project Starfish, which the family that has been in power have always had. Mind you, when I say the family was killed, we have little children that were hung in addition to their parents. Let you know what type of movie this is. So their deal is to go into the tower known as Jotunheim, Norse mythology. Go into Jotunheim, destroy Project Starfish, get the hell out, because the new people in charge would try to destroy the U.S. Well, now that they found out that Rick Flag is actually not dead because whatever was on him said that he was still alive, they're gonna go get him. They go and get him, and it's a pissing contest between who can kill more people, between Bloodsport and Peacemaker. It is quite funny. A lot of nudity in this movie. When I mean nudity, I mean frontal nudity with men. There were some female nudity, but tons of full frontal guys. By the time they make it to Flag, he's having tea with the rebellion leader. He was not taken by the enemy. He was taken by the rebellion leaders. And apparently they all just killed the wrong people. Harley Quinn, though, was taken by the ruling military government that's there. Apparently the people love how she just craps all over the American justice system, and the guy who's the new presidente, he wants her. He wants to take her, and he has plans for her. Let's say that. In the interim, we find out what Project Starfish is, because our one of our villains is the Thinker. The Thinker has been spending 30 years researching on Project Starfish, who is literally Starro. If you're a DC fan, you know who Starro is. Starro is pretty much a big deal because he can release spores of himself, attach them to your face. Now he has control of you, and you are in a deep sleep. You're in like a deep world of your own. Not really so much the case in this one. In this one, if Starro attaches to your face, you're dead. You know, we do get to see later on when Thinker has actually done experiments where you try to pull it off, and there's a starship hole just on people's faces. Now, apparently, a person can be long dead, but as long as the Starro's there, it can make that body function. And he speaks through those things. It is hive-minded for sure. But yes, apparently 30 years ago, Starro's flow down space. Astronauts got it. One astronaut survived after he released spores, and here he is. The twist behind this, and I know I'm going all out of place, but I'm bundling up things as I remember. The twist is the American government actually grabbed Starro, and they went over to this island, and they made a deal with the people there, because with that weapon there, they would be able to take over. They'd be able to just take over that island and not have to worry about anything, and it'd be under the protection of the U.S. That is one of our twists. One of our twists. So, Flag is the plan is they got to get the Thinker. He's the one behind the whole thing. Find out the information from him. Take all this stuff down. And meanwhile, there are several moments in this movie that try to show you who is most of the people in this movie are just bad. They're evil. The rebellion people are probably the nicest ones because the Thinker's men were killed by the new people just to get him to cooperate. He's like, well, if you want to control this, you need me because I'm, I've been with this thing. And no one here, no one in here, maybe save for Flag and Harley Quinn, maybe, are good guys. So, 40 minutes in, she is they give her a dress. She puts in this dress. Mind you, I want to say that Harley Quinn was in her comics accurate costume. And by comics accurate, I mean the same colors from the Batman anime show. That's where she originated from. So, yeah, Harley Quinn is not some, well, she is a sex symbol, but she's just not a piece of ass in this movie. She's not wearing booty shorts. She's wearing clothes and everything. And there's nothing wrong with her other costume. It's okay to want to be sexy and all that, but this is what she would wear. This all makes sense. And anyone who tells you, and the scene that's coming up, the guy wants to marry her. Like I told you, how the people see her. He takes her. He shows her his parrots, his birds. And he shows her. They have like a miniature date kind of thing throughout the day. And he's like, "I want to marry you. I took over this, but I'm a bachelor. The people are old fashioned. The dude is very much a romantic, while his general under him is pretty much I want to kill everybody. I'll kill you for whatever." And of course, she agrees. She agrees to marry him, and they of course have sex. We don't have a sex scene, but we get the after effects where he's saying, "Yeah, this is." He tells her what Jotunheim is. The Nazis had ran there. Apparently, the Nazis had ran there and made this facility, and the family end up ratting out the Nazis there to make a pact with the U.S., and that's how the U.S. had control. Well, U.S. was working with them and had control of it. And he was saying, since it was always rumored that there was a weapon there, but now I know it's true, it's cool. Anyone that says anything bad against me, any political discourse, not only you, but your family, your friends, your parents, they're all going to go there and they're never going to come back. Children, all you guys are going to die. The moment he turns around, mind you, they're in a room with a collection of guns. Harley Quinn has this very old pistol and shoots him. She's like, I have a habit of falling for dudes who are crazy, they do stuff, and I made a promise to myself that if I ever saw any red flags, I'd kill the guy. And killing kids was her line. Of course, there's the general's in charge now, so Harley is going to be tortured, beaten up. She was tased several times for information. We're going to come back to that later. So our guys, they're coming up with a plan to get the Thinker. The Thinker goes to this pub or something that's in the town. So they have this guy, Milton, who's going to drive them in there. We have a nice scene of the squad killing everybody that is around. Killing everybody that's around because they're going to get Milton. They're asking for papers. And one of the interesting dynamics between Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport. Bloodsport's scared of rats. Why is he scared of rats? Because one time he messed up with his father's training and he got the punishment. He's thrown into a crate with hungry rats. Which is a point of hilarity that Amanda Waller put this guy on the team with a woman who controls rats. So we find out most people's backstory. We don't find out King Shark's. The people say he's a descendant of a Hawaiian god, but you never know. And that's a good thing. You're not supposed to know. Eventually, they do end up finding the Thinker. After they all have drinks, they relax a bit. Thinker comes in. They have him where they want him, but the general knows that there has to be more American people there if Harley is there. Our three big boys, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and Flag, they are a diversion for the others to get Thinker to the bus. They escape in a very wonderful scene. Apparently, Bloodsport does not smoke cigarettes, but very wonderful scene. They escape. They also find out during this Flag find out that Harley's still alive. They're friends. He's gonna go save Harley, and this is where one of the best scenes happen. Harley Quinn's being tortured. She faints. She feigns that she faints, and the guy that's guarding her texting. She snaps this guy's neck with her legs alone, uses her feet to get the keys, unlock herself. While the general, he's long gone. He's left. This entire, I want to say, maybe was it 5? I want to say it was 15 minutes, but it was a really good solo escape scene. where Harley Quinn uses the guns around and kills these guys. I'm talking, you know, another person tried to spin this into being, like a sympathy for rapists or torturers, which makes no sense because Harley Quinn literally kills everyone there. She even takes a guy, breaks his arm, and bashes his head against iron bars. She ripped up the part of the dress to choke a guy out. Harley Quinn was in full force, and this is probably my favorite scene by far. Her just murdering all these guys, and it's funny to see part of the scene is in her mind, kind of, because the blood splatter. This movie's not afraid of blood splatter, but there are flowers coming from when some of these people are being shot, and there's flowers behind her as she's using the AK-47s. She finds the javelin, which has like a gold. It has the old. I can't remember the name of the paintings, but when paintings have halos around people, in her eyes, it had a halo. She has the javelin. She's killing people with the javelin. She escapes. She's going to take a taxi to leave. Then she see her friends, her compatriots. They're going to break in to save her. And she hugs Flag for... They have a very long hug. And another funny thing when she's meeting Bloodsport, where he's literally saying, so what's with the javelin? She's like, I don't know yet. I'm waiting for a sign from God. Jesus Christ. Yeah, him too, or anyone. That's one of my favorite lines. Another connection in this movie, because this movie is definitely about connections. Bloodsport's connected to Rick Flag, who suggested him because they both served in the same army regiment together. Bloodsport doesn't believe he's a leader, but Wallace says she'd make a leader out of him, and we will see. So the team is all together. They're telling Thinker this is what's going to go down. They come up with their plans, and it's time for everyone to go. Also, another connection here. Ratcatcher 2 reminds Bloodsport of his daughter. He promises he's going to get her out of her life. She's promised he's going to get him out of her life. It's beautiful. Ratcatcher's backstory was very nicely done. And they actually showed a lot of it in the window. Her father was addicted to drugs. She calls it one of his... I want to say, did she call it one of his problems or one of his caveats? One of his demons? Something along that words that, that would bring... one of his burdens. He was never abusive, and she wished that she could have given to Bloodsport the love that she has and had with her father. He taught her how the device works, and later on, in the big battle scene, we even get the backstory behind why he chose rats, because they are from Portugal, and he chose rats because people look down on rats, say they are lowly, but he says, I want to show them that if rats can do great things, anybody can do great things, because poor people look down on. Really great message. Wonderful. She was arrested for armed robbery. They considered the rats weapons, which was funny. So, another thing I'm going to point out while I remember it. People are speaking Spanish here. I believed that this was, I guess somewhere in Cuba, maybe, a fake Cuban place. There are multicultural people here. Like they are Filipino or Asian dancers at the club. There are Black, Hispanic, Asian, Filipino, all sorts of soldiers that Harley killed through. So I'm thinking to myself, was this like a militia or like a mercenary group? Because I find, in those type of war settings, usually all the people come from that place. That's an interesting thing to note. So if you want to talk about inclusion, and there were female soldiers there. Female soldiers do bite the dust too. So plan is they're going to use Thinker, use his retinal scan. He's going to drive them in. They're going to use the retinal scan, go to Jotunheim, set charges, blow the thing up. Awesome. Well, it happens to rain really, really hard, and the rain makes everything white. So they're using it as cover. And we get the scenes of when they kill those opening guards. It's, for me, the best scene. It's when King Shark rips a guy in half and there's a thunderbolt behind him. I wish I can have that as a screensaver. I digress. They go in, they set the charges. Turns out that Amanda Waller pulled Peacekeeper aside and wants Peacekeeper to make sure none of the data escapes. Because once Rick Flag sees they experimented on people, knows what has gone on, knows that they're actually there to cover up something that the U.S. did. The U.S. funded this. He wants to get this data out there. Children have died. People have died. Innocent people have been experimented and been killed. And the Thinker is played by one of my favorite doctors from Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi. Would not forget his name. So Peacekeeper and of course Rick Flag, they duke it out, but not before the building comes down. The Thinker's like holy crap, your guy set the charges off too soon. Flag, you need to get this thing and we can get out of here. The roof comes tumbling down. Everything's is broken. We find out that not only are the spores that come out of Starro, he's not reproducing. They're a hive mind. He also grows larger because he's feasting on the thoughts of people. So he is kaiju level big in this. The Tower of Jotunheim is, excuse me, I think he's actually the same size as the tower, if not just a couple of 100 feet shorter. I'm not 100%. I'm not sure on how tall the tower is to him, but he does break the tower when he gets out. And that's where this scene leaves us. His containment's loose. Everything's broken. His little, not just the little starfish tentacles. He has like tentacle things. That's how the starfish attach. Grabs the Thinker. You know, it is implied that the Thinker not only tortured him, also might have sexually molested the starfish somehow. I don't know how. He seemed to be freaky because when Ratcatcher 2 said she's going to shove rats up his ass, he says you might be surprised on how I react to that. So he's apologizing, pleading for his life. Of course, Starro rips off, pulls him apart, and splatters him on the wall. His splatter leads us into the next scene, which is the cinematography in this movie. The pacing is great. Leads us into Rick Flag versus Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper has that weird helmet that someone said was a toilet seat. And part of the fight, the beginning of the fight, we're looking at it through the reflection of that. They're eventually fighting through a feeding trough area to a bathroom area to where Rick Flag is just trying to choke out Peacekeeper, and Peacekeeper takes a piece of porcelain and stabs Rick Flag. We get to see it go all the way through to the heart. Rick Flag is dead. And his last words were, "Peacekeeper, what a joke." Even Peacekeeper didn't want to kill him because he said, you know, you've done great work, you've done great things. I don't want to do this. I'm just following orders. And through this moment, which leading over to this moment, while the building was collapsing, Ratcatcher 2's had this whole time she's had a little rat companion named Sebastian. The rat is very well trained. It's waved at people. It's waved at Bloodsport. Apparently, she says he must sense goodness in you because he likes you. Funny stuff. Sebastian helped her find a way to get through the rubble because Starro was going to end up grabbing her and killing her as well. She sees Rick Flag get killed by Peacekeeper, and the data slid through the bars to get to her. She grabs and she takes off. Peacekeeper catches up with her. He's gonna kill her. She's wondering, you know, you've won. Why not just destroy it and let me live? And he says, I'm thorough. But again, it goes back to what Bloodsport was saying. No, you just enjoy what you're doing, and the guise of justice is how you hide it. Even though he does look pensive, they spent this whole time together. It looks, for whatever reason, he might be a slave to his convulsions, which is probably why Waller picked him to be the mole within there. We get a nice little meanwhile transition, which the transitions in this are great. Like, someone said that Into the Spider-Verse did the same thing, but they do take parts of the scenery or even the blood. They use the blood to say, you know, Warner Brothers Presents, so they tell you the chapter names through things in the background. Pretty interesting. Very good. So we get the meanwhile. They were placing charges, and we do get to see where Peacekeeper broke off from King Shark to go there because for some reason he just kept wanting to be a Rick Flag or be with the Thinker. But they put him with King Shark. King Shark, you know, they're putting up charges. Bloodsport sees where the other government's coming in because they had gotten the doors to close. They were going to bring a battering ram. And King Shark, he sees this nice little tank full of these weird jellies. They're apparent. They have to be alien. I don't know where they're from, but they're these weird jellies. And through mishaps of having to run through and having to deal with the guards that have gotten through. And Milton, their guide, is now dead. And the only person that remembers him is Polka-Dot Man. Polka-Dot Man's polka dots, which can literally disintegrate people, just disintegrate all through you, which kind of really not how they worked in the comics. They kind of like, he can put his hand through. They're like dimensional things. You can make another one, punch people, and escape through. Maybe I'm thinking of a different villain, but yeah, his power's pretty ramped up in this one. He's trying to defend them, but unfortunately, he hits some of the bombs that they had, causing an explosion, making a chain explosion. The levels get flooded. King Shark's being bitten on by these things, which Harley goes to try and save him. Now we have a moment where they're all going to fall. King Shark falls from nearly from the top of this thing, doesn't die, is bulletproof again, bites the guy's head off, and meanwhile, our crew is able to run and get across to the other side. Unfortunately, what is our guy's name? Bloodsport. He falls and he goes through each floor, through the ceiling safely, on top of it, until he is face to face with Peacekeeper, ready to kill Ratcatcher. And Ratcatcher's like, she's looking like, I'm gonna die. And we get a nice silent moment. I wish they did this more in American media, where it's more or less silent. These two are looking at each other. They've wanted to kill each other this whole entire time. And they both fire one bullet. Now, earlier, there was a joke where, whose bullets were better. Bloodsport says, I use smaller bullets. Peacekeeper said, well, my bullets would be so good, they wouldn't even touch wherever you had made the shot. Not in this case, where both bullets collide, but it wasn't like a smushing thing. The smaller bullet broke through the hollow point, hit him in the neck, and he had to be explained, I use smaller bullets, idiot. So, he saves Ratcatcher. She informs him about Flag, about what's going on. And unfortunately, they have to escape again. Starro has, again, like I said, he burst through this entire thing. They defend themselves from getting spored on with the little starfish. He takes over this whole entire army. He says, this is my city. So he's going to go off and eventually try to take over everybody and destroy the city. Like, there are people that get murdered through him walking alone, in addition to these people being taken over, which is an instant death sentence. Amanda Waller tells him, hey, well, if it gets out, that place is technically an enemy of our area, enemy of the United States. They don't care what happens, just leave. And so they're going to leave. They go to leave. Bloodsport is the leader on this. They're going to leave, and he hears women and children screaming, and his reactions throughout this entire movie is funny, because he's like, fuck it. And he keeps his British accent, so he's like, fuck it. They're going off script. King Shark's following because he's dumb. Those are his friends. They're all going to go follow. They're going to go save people, right? Before Amanda Waller can blow up their necks, because she is full on bitch mode in this movie. One of the people that works for her, another black lady, wear glasses, she knocks her out. He's like, I draw a line at letting kids die and letting innocent people die. So they're all doing their best to work with Task Force X to tell him how to get to Starro and how to stop him. Our third act, pretty good, really good. You can see one of the nice little touches is Bloodsport doesn't want to shoot the people with the starfish on their face, but when they're creeping closer, he does. Polka-Dot Man, he's gearing everybody up. He tells King Shark that the Starro is num-nums. He's trying to get them num-nums. He tells Polka-Dot Man, that's your mom. And when he says he sees his mother everywhere, we get a nice scene earlier of him seeing everybody as his mother, which is hilarious. He goes apeshit on the starfish, but then he is murdered because the starfish swung and made him literally just exploded him basically on the ground. So, Bloodsport tells Harley to get to higher ground. She knows what the javelin is there for now. Meanwhile, earlier Rick Flag had told the leader of the rebellion, told her that, hey, we're going to make such a big fuss, a big distraction. You guys can go in and take back your place. Rick Flag's not an evil a-hole, even though it looked like he knew about the 2 Suicide Squads. Cool. Cool. They move in, and funny enough, the woman who Peacekeeper wanted to kill, who was the only person left alive, she informed them about the other generals dying, but doesn't make a difference. The rebels kill the other generals, save for that woman. Their government has been stabilized for now. Our team is doing their best to try to take on Starro, but again, Starro is massive, and he has tons of minions. And when he says, you know, this is my city, Ratcatcher 2 says, no, this is their city. It's no one else. It's not yours. It's not ours. It's theirs. She calls all of the thousands upon millions of rats that are in this, in Colto Marto. They overrun Starro. He really can't do much. The pain he feels, his slaves feel. Hive mind. They give Harley enough of a break that she can run through, take the javelin, pierce him through the eye. She makes the opening for the rats to swim through. We do see Sebastian in there leading the pack. They're biting through his eye. They're eating him up from the inside out. And one of the last things Starro says through someone is, you know, I was just enjoying myself floating and seeing the stars. You tried your best to make Starro, I don't want to say relatable, but make him tragic at the end, which in the comics, you know, they dubbed him in the movie Starro the Conqueror. What was the point of him taking over the astronauts? I guess he might have saw them as a threat, but he could have just opened up the thing to get himself to leave. Who knows? Starro's always been a villain, so I don't really have sympathy for the guy. His powers do not usually work that way. Those people all died who got taken over by the Face. Usually, all you have to do is just, you know, beat Starro, kill Starro, knock out Starro, and the things will fall off. But in here, I guess once they're on, they're on. But the people who got taken over in the last 30 minutes should have been able to live. My critique. Apparently, someone obviously had recorded all this. The footage had gotten out that they were fighting people. Bloodsport's daughter is, you know, she's proud of her dad. My dad was saving people. They are hailed as heroes. And once Waller wakes up, Bloodsport says, yo, all this footage and everything that what the Americans, you know, the government was doing, let us go free. Because I have this on a separate server somewhere where you guys aren't going to find it. You let us go, don't bother us. And if you do, I'm just going to, this stuff's going to leak. She agrees. Of course, Task Force X has a helicopter, almost like a Quinjet helicopter that comes in to get them. But he has a conversation with Harley saying, you know, I know Flag wanted this to get out, but this is the best compromise. You can't win them all. And Harley's more upset that her friend died. And he's upset too. They were friends, but she kind of ruins it by calling him Milton. And our group of, King Shark, Bloodsport, Harley, Ratcatcher. Oh my God, our group of 4, they leave. And they all finally sleep, and Bloodsport is able to pet the rat at the end. There is 2 after credit scenes. First after credit scene is the night before. Weasel's not dead. He coughed up the water. Weasel is still alive and out there. He also was put in jail because he had killed 27 children. So he's probably going to be the chupacabra of the island. The post-credit scene, one person made it out alive and his heart was still beating somehow. It's not Rick Flag, it is Peacekeeper. Somehow Peacekeeper is alive. Amanda Waller is punishing her group by making them work with Peacekeeper, who is a piece of shit, literally. And that is the Suicide Squad. Literally the best DC movie in a very, very, very long time. My rating for this, I gotta give it, man, I want to give it a 5 out of 5, but I'm giving it a 4 because you killed Flag. You know, I was shocked by Boomerang. I could deal with Captain Boomerang dying ish, but you killed Flag, so I'll give you 4.5. There you go. It's best movie in a long time. James Gunn, once you give him free run for things, he knows how to bring together characters that a lot of people never heard of. They're a bunch of misfits and have them work together. But here's the thing. Here's the key difference between Suicide Squad and something like the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts are redeemable people. These are not supposed to be redeemable people. Sure, some of them have some humanity, and over the course of time with the comic books, they have you see the humanity of these people. They're willing to steal, and they'll kill if they have to. But eventually, they are redeemable, especially Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn full on works with Batman now, so pardon me. Let me give you some good things. Good things was the soundtrack. I don't know what it is with James Gunn and his movies. He gets amazing soundtracks. The music matches the moments. Lyric for lyric matches the moments. The special effects, yeah, King Shark's not actually there, but he blends in pretty well. The effects on Weasel look really good too. I think some of that might have been practical. The characters in the lineup was amazing. The actors that played these characters, even they were there for a few moments, they were amazing. The pace, I'd never felt this movie drug on in certain places. I never felt it rushed in other places. The action scenes, the cinematography, the things in Harley Mind with the flowers, the the King Shark, like I said, the King Shark scene, those moments looked really, really cool. Where am I at here? The bad thing, just those deaths. Like, Rick Flag was the one guy that's like, I'm not a criminal, I'm leading these people. I don't know who you're going to get to lead the rest of Task Force X unless you're going to try to make Bloodsport lead them again. Don't know what happened to Deadshot. They don't mention him at all. Will Smith usually doesn't like doing sequels. So, don't know if you're ever going to get him back. But, I don't know what the future is for the Suicide Squad. DC Warner Brothers does want James Gunn to come back to do another one. Another thing that I didn't like was, Star Wars victims at the end. Those people should have been fine, but death is cheap in this movie. So you can and you will die. Them also trying to make him sympathetic was really dumb too. Kinda. I understand, his last thought is gonna be, oh man, I really do miss them stars, but bruh, you're killing innocent folks. You had to go. I do wish King Shark was a hammerhead, but I get the restriction. I'm just happy he was just in the movie, period. So, my favorite scene was Harley breaking out, the King Shark ripping that guy in half. I'm wondering if Flashpoint is going to bring back Rick Flag or Boomerang, because that's supposed to be a reset. Flashpoint movie is supposed to be a reset, so possibly, we get a nice little reset. I don't want this movie to be, hey, remember this last person from there? We're gonna kill Ratcatcher 2 in the third movie. Haha. Don't. I get that death is cheap in the Suicide Squad, but even in the comics, there have been mainstay people like Deadshot, Harley Quinn, King Shark, Captain Boomerang. They have been mainstays who lived through these things enough to be like, yeah, we're a functioning group. Don't kill these 4 people. If anything, have 1 or 2 of them missing, because I really want the X-Men to be done like this, where you rotate people in and out, just everyone doesn't have to die all the time. And yeah, they're not anti-heroes, they're literally villains, and I'm okay with this. Save for Harley Quinn. Save for Harley Quinn. So, you heard it from me, guys. 4.5 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I watched it by myself, so, I was laughing very, very hard. Amazing. Please go see it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, let me know what you think of the movie down in the comment section below. I'm sorry this ran kind of long. I spread through the first 2 acts because I really do I like talking about that third act. That third act is what really stuck with me. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos like this. Share the video. Show other people what a great time you're having here talking about and listening about my views on this movie. I do try to sprinkle in a little bit of information when I do the recaps. Sorry, it's just my process. But again, I'm thankful that you showed up. So as always, be good, be blessed. Wear your mask, please. Wash your hands. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Please don't be a jerk. Black Lives Matter, and I will definitely see you next time.